This week, McLaren announced the Season 2 launch of the McLaren Shadow Project, the most inclusive and diverse esports racing competition on the planet, which attracted more than 500,000 competitors in 2018. Here to discuss Season 2 is General Manager of Logitech's Gaming Simulation and McLaren Shadow Champion of 2019. It's Igor Fraga and Vincent Borrell. Welcome, guys. How are you guys doing?
Hey there.
You're very good. Thank you very much for having us.
Of course, we are super excited. Let's start off with Vincent, right? So how has racing simulation evolved over the years from a driver and an industry perspective?
You know, I think it's interesting. It's like every other sport out there, they're moving and turning to esports as a mean of expanding viewership and also attracting a younger demographic. E-racing has evolved in the same way as motorsports started to turn its focus to esports as a means of doing that.
And then Igor, I want to ask you that question as well. Like, how has it changed, the perspective changed, being an actual racer within it?
Yeah, I think right now the esport is giving like new opportunity for the racing drivers coming up, like building a different way to become a professional driver. So it's very interesting, and which I having so much fun being part of.
So, you know, you talk about these opportunities that have come up, right? And as a competitor, you are from Brazil. And so what are these racing simulation opportunities bringing to those like yourself and those like, for example, in your country or anywhere else? Because we discussed earlier, like the financial constraints of being an actual racer, but having these opportunities, you don't need as much money compared to like, you know, actually driving those cars and racing in that capacity. So talk to us a little bit about that and like what opportunities has it brought to you?
You know, on the real life, it's I think you know, a lot of people know, but it's a very expensive sport. So basically, the simulation, you can do many laps you want, prepare yourself for the real racing as well. And besides that, you know, all those competition that is coming up, you know, the McLaren Shadow event, for example, I will be doing some simulator training, and you know, very close to the real life. I think this is the most exciting things for the e-racing, because at the end of the day, it's very close to the real racing, and you really can do the bridge between these two worlds, you know.
Absolutely. It's so intimidating and it can be daunting. But Vincent, this question's for you. The 2019 G Challenge just launched, right? So talk to us about this new competition and why do you feel like it's needed in this space? We'll go to Vincent and then we'll go to Igor here.
All right. Yeah. Before answering that question, I think I want to stress kind of the big difference with other sports. You know, the interesting thing with e-racing is it translates so well to the real world. A lot of the skills that the drivers have on sim racing translate to real world racing, and that's kind of the uniqueness of this esports category. So we're super excited to launch the second season of the G Challenge e-racing competition. You know, this has followed our renewed partnership with both Fernando Alonso, FA Racing, and McLaren Racing. And one of the things that, you know, I love around this new challenge is it's really accessible to all. Racing is something we're born with. We're chasing each other as kids, and you know, you can just pick up the game very easily. Unlike some of the other games out there that take a lot more studying to get behind. So everyone has a chance to at least try to put their best lap around the lap before competing against the best performers out there.
Yeah, absolutely. I wanted to ask Igor too, like, what does this mean to you personally, this challenge?
I mean, it means a lot to me. You know, last year I was the Logitech G champion, and since then it gives me the opportunity to go for the semifinal of McLaren Shadow. And even inside of the McLaren, I was, you know, taken to the Veloci eSports Center, so I could practice, have a coach. So Logitech gave me a lot of support, you know, even on like through the competitions going on. So I felt like very well prepared, and I have much to appreciate for all of them.
And Vincent, speaking of Logitech, right? How important is it to have a company like Logitech involved with the next generation of racers and simulator and e-racers?
You know, this is intrinsic to how we make any product at Logitech. We work very closely with the people who end up using it. In this case, you know, we're talking of e-racers, and we work very closely with them in designing something that fits their needs and is performing, and at the same time is accessible to a lot of people. So we're not trying to make products that only a very few can afford, and it's finding that right balance and recipe in order to deliver those products. And you know, we're because of that unique relationship that we've built, we're able to have the best-selling product on the market today. And it's great, you know, when we see people like Igor who have this passion for racing, and we're able to give them the opportunity to go all the way and chase their dreams.
Yeah, going all the way, chasing your dreams is such a reality of it, right? You mentioned earlier, Vincent, that this is one of the unique sports that can be simulated almost one-to-one in a virtual environment. Igor, do you feel like making that transition to the real car was very difficult after practicing in simulation, or did it feel somewhat natural?
Yeah, what kind of stages did it take to even get to that point?
Yeah, for my case, I think I cannot remember actually, because when I get to the real racing, well, I was very, very small. But first of all, my dad bought me like a Logitech wheel. I think was on PlayStation 2, one of the first came out. And he wanted to introduce me on the go-karting. So he first bought me those like equipment. So I would have a base, what is like throttle, braking, and, you know, steering wheel. So I could translate it a little bit better, and he could have a little bit more confidence to put me on the real thing. So after that, you know, I was passionate in the racing, and also as a young kid, I really loved video game as well. So when I was home, of course, I wanted to play racing. You know, that time was only with the AI, but still I had so much fun back then. And I think this kind of the two words followed together until nowadays, and built up a very interesting background.
And Vincent, where do you see the growth and the future when it comes to e-racing, especially with Logitech's involvement? And where do you see Logitech really jumping in to expand this esport?
Yeah, you know, I think our role within the space and the G Challenge is really to be able to spark the desire to race in everyone, show them that there is a way, if they are interested in doing it, that there is a way to connect between, you know, the newbies and the pros, and that we're there to support them throughout the way. I think what's interesting, again, when you look at e-racing, is really that it is translating so closely to the real world. It is so approachable to everyone because everyone understands what needs to happen to win, which is not the case in every game. And if you fast forward, you know, in a few years, I could very much see a world where, you know, e-racing is the dominant sport over motorsports, which, you know, may not be the case everywhere else, but because it's so fun to play. And you are also behind the wheel, right? So you still have kind of an immersive experience that's quite unique, which you may not find in other genres.
Well, we definitely look forward to the future of e-racing. I know Jimmy and I may try a simulator one day. We did for a bit, but we weren't the greatest, but we'll get better at it. May not be professional like you, Igor, but we'll get there. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining us, Igor and Vincent, and we will definitely look forward to season 2.